Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to be focusing on our last kind of family for basic guitar chords. It stretches further than this. There's a lot of other families, but we've been just focusing on these three. The major chords being the first video about chords that I posted. The C, D, E, F, G, A, all those are major chords. We learned about minor chords in the last video, and in this video we're going to be focusing on our 7 chords, which are your C7, D7, E7, F7, G7, and A7. These are all variations of our kind of bass chords, which were the major chords. So anyways, reading chords, we went over that in the first video. If you do not know how to read chords, you should really check that out. So what we're going to do in this video is mainly just focusing on where to place our fingers and how to play these 7 chords. So let's get to it. To play our C7, what we do is we know that we're not supposed to play our top E string because it's indicated by an X. Everything else we need to play. So we're going to place our finger over here on the first fret on our B string, and then with our 3 remaining strings, we're going to make a triangle on our A, D, and G string. So it's gonna look something like this, and the triangle is on frets 3 and 2. You see it? That's how I kind of like to look at it. There's your bass there, and then it goes up and then goes down. It's kind of like a triangle rotated to the right. That's how I like to look at it, because then it's simple, because you'll see these kind of triangle patterns a lot in chords. So it's kind of easier to just look at them in that manner. Anyways, how you play it, again, we skip this string, play the rest. So it's going to sound something like this. Okay, that's our C7. For our D7, again, we have a triangle pattern in which we place our the strings that are going to be used are our E, B, and G string. And so we place our fingers on the 2nd fret over here, and our last pointer finger on our 1st fret. And so the strings that we need to play are everything except for the E string and the A string. So when you play those strings, the remaining is going to sound something like. That's what D7 sounds like. E7 is going to be pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. We put a finger on fret 1, string G, okay? And we put our 2nd finger on string A, 3rd fret, and we play everything. So it's going to sound something like, I'm not using my pinky finger or middle finger, just letting you know. It's going to sound something like this. That's E7. F7 is kind of tricky. We have a bar involved in this chord, so we place the bar on our 1st fret for F7, and then with the remaining fingers, we're going to place them on our G string on fret 2. Our G string is this one. And lastly, we're going to place our finger on fret 3 on our A string. So it's going to look like something like this. My pinky is not involved in this. And so when we apply pressure and play it, it'll sound something. Oh, again, sorry. We're going to play all our strings because there's no X's indicated. So it's going to sound something like. Sorry, I muted something. Make sure you apply that pressure. It's very important. Without the pressure, it's going to sound something like. Without the pressure, it might sound like you don't hear that bar. It's very important to apply pressure to that bar so you hear that. Sorry. So you hear that difference. Sorry. Something like that. Anyways, moving on to our G7. This is going to be fairly simple again. We are using our E, A, and higher pitch E string. And so we need to place a finger on our third fret on our E string up here. And then on our A string, we're going to be using our second fret. And finally on the higher pitched E string, we're going to be using fret 1. My pinky is not involved again. So it's going to be higher pitched E string, fret 1, A string, fret 2, lower pitched E string, fret 3. So, and we play everything. So it's going to sound something like that. That's a G7. And lastly, we have our A7, which is literally, we remember our A chord that was like this. It's our A chord, but instead we're not using our ring finger. So it's going to be played like this. Those are our 7 strings, and that is actually now the end of our basic guitar chords. I really recommend practicing all these 21 chords that we learned throughout the 3 videos. So kind of like to sum up what we learned about the major strings. We learned how to read chords. The 4 kind of main aspects of a chord are where to place your fingers, indicated by circles. The circles might have numbers on them indicating which finger to use. For example, if the number's 1, you'll use your 1 finger, 2, 3, 4. So that's what the circles mean. We also know that in the chords, we have our indicated strings, which are the horizontal lines. We know that our the actual frets on our chord is the kind of area or distance between the fret lines that you'll see on the chords. It's basically where the rectangles are. And so additionally to that, we know that the bass of our guitar is indicated by the black rectangle on the top of our chord. And finally, we know that the X's and O's indicate what strings you need to play and which strings are going to be open. And open is anything that you play without having your left hand on the fretboard. Those 2 strings that I just played, the E and B, are both being played as open. What else have we learned? We've learned about minor chords. We know that minor chords are basically just another variation of the 7 major chords that we played. 7 chords, we've learned that in this video, and that's basically it. When you encounter other chords after these 3, maybe you're trying to learn some sort of strumming song and you need to know various chords that we've not learned about, just follow the kind of method in which you look at which strings you need to play, which ones you don't. Place your fingers in the most logical way. For example, if I'm playing the A string, I'm going to be playing it either with these 3 fingers or these 3 fingers. I'm not going to be using my thumb. Just be logical about where you need to play. Sometimes it actually matters, because if you're playing a song in which you need to play this chord, and then right after you need to play some note on the E string over here, it makes more sense to use this kind of way on playing the A chord instead of this way, because how am I supposed to reach my index finger all the way up there, right? So really just be logical about how you place your fingers. Yeah, that's pretty much all about chords. Just practice them. That's the main important key. Good luck.